You can watch Chaplin's films from the teens, and they're just as funny as they ever were. And you don't need to, you show them to kids. You don't need to explain to them, hey, these are old, you won't understand the jokes. No, they get it. They get him. He's a pantomime comedian. You don't have to even be able to speak or read the subtitle cards. He just speaks the universal language.
I know there are groups of people who get together and rack up the old projector and show his films.
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, he's still a world figure. He's still a major world figure. In his heyday, theater owners used to put like a life-size cardboard standee of him as the tramp outside their theater, and they would say, he's here today. That's all it took to get people to come. I mean, and again, that's in the era of somewhat primitive communications, but the word spread like wildfire. This guy was not only funny, but he had something special.
The genius of Charlie Chaplin's silent masterpiece, Modern Times, proved to be quite timeless at the recent ChaplinFest, a celebration of the film star and director's works. Held at William S. Hart Park in Newhall, the event was a fitting tribute to an artist whose influence continues even today.
Modern Times was an iconic film. It's a great comedy, as we know, but it was also the last time that Charlie Chaplin appeared as the little tramp character. And the final scene of that movie, actually the final two scenes, was filmed nearby out on Sierra Highway. And those were actually the last scenes of the entire silent era. So we put together this big celebration to honor that the release of that film.
There are some objects, I believe, that were used in the film?
That's right. We have Beth Whirling, who's one of the curators for the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, brought Chaplin's actual overalls and the wrenches that he used in Modern Times. We also have some Keystone Cop artifacts on display. We also had some artifacts that were used in the film Chaplin from 1992 with Robert Downey Jr.
On display from the featured Chaplin were prop movie cameras that were authentic replicas of those used at the time. There was a dealer's room with Chaplin books and a large cardboard cutout so that fans could pose for pictures. And actual props from Modern Times were also present, like a foam brick used in a fight scene and a teacup sipped by Chaplin himself, as well as the famous roller skates which Chaplin wore in one of Modern Times' most iconic scenes.
For me, Charlie Chaplin is kind of the beginning and end of the pioneering American comedy of the 20th century. He was a stage performer, a vaudeville performer, what they used to call music hall in England. Came over here in 1913 on tour, was spotted by the famous comedy producer Max Sennett, who thought, he's good, he has possibilities. He started making films about one a week, one every week or two at Max Sennett's Keystone. Within 1 year's time, he was world famous. That fame spread around the world because of his little tramp character, which just appealed to everybody, young, old, every ethnicity, every nation on the planet.
He's a guy just trying to get through the world with very few resources, but he's got his wits and he's got his humor. And that's really what it comes down to. He's funny. And the great thing about a silent film that I think is oftentimes lost is that it's a universal medium because there's no words. And that's why Chaplin actually resisted bringing the little tramp character into the talkie realm, because he knew that if the little tramp's voice was heard, maybe the magic would be gone, you know. And you got to remember, one of the reasons why he became so famous was because silent films were a medium that was universal. All you had to do was change a dialogue card into another language, and you've translated the movie. You know, you didn't have to overdub it. You didn't have to do anything like that. So Charlie Chaplin was truly the world's first world-famous man in his lifetime.
I laughed the first time I saw him, so as a young boy, he just appealed to me as being funny. But the more I watched and the more I read about him and the more I studied him, the more I appreciated how much he developed, how much he invented in the field of comedy that no one else had done before. He started directing his own films within a matter of months, so that he became a filmmaker as well as a comedian on camera. Eventually, he wrote, directed, and even produced and owned his own movies. He's just an astonishing figure.
Modern Times was Chaplin's opportunity to place his little tramp character into an increasingly modern and mechanized world. In one of the film's most famous images, the tramp unwittingly leads a revolution of workers involved in a labor dispute. The film's message of the old clashing with the new was represented at the event by the efforts of the Mary Pickford Institute, whose mobile film van is revolutionizing the way students work with mixed media today.
We drive this around and we pull up in the parking lot and we teach kids how to use the tools of digital media to tell their stories.
What a contrast from the way it was done in yesteryears.
It is, that we've got all these technical advances and all the kids have, they have cell phones and that shoot video and take pictures and they might have flip cameras or anything like that. They have all this technology available to them, but they don't necessarily know how to use it to craft a story. And so that's what we teach them, to use the critical thinking skills and craft a story to become producers, not just consumers of media.
It's amazing that you're so mobile. Where do you go?
We're based in LA. We're right on the edge of Culver City. But what we do is we go all around the LA area, East LA, South Central, Watts. We've also worked with the probation camps out in Calabasas. We go into Pacoima and all the environs around it. And we've worked up in Santa Clarita with some of the elementary and high schools and continuation high schools here.
It sounds like you are one busy group of people.
We're a pretty small nonprofit, but we try to work as much as possible to get out there and bring these. The classroom lets us bring these tools to schools and students that may not have them readily available, and to bring some equity into the education system.
What are some of the reactions from the students when they walk through here and see all these screens?
When they come on, we have music blaring, and so that that's different from the classroom right away. That they get to hear the music they want, and they're like, "Cool!" And they really like the sound booth. They can go in, and we encourage them to. They all know from reality shows that how you do your testimonial. So for them to go in front of the camera one-on-one, they get more comfortable that way. And then we encourage them, if they want to go in there and sing along with their song and get their little American Idol on, they can do that. So they have a good time. And we also teach teachers how to use the technology that they have available and make them, because a lot of them want them always to put the cell phones and everything away in the classroom. And so we're trying to encourage them not to fight it, but to use it as a way of getting the kids engaged in their education.
How does it feel to be a part of this first ChaplinFest?
It's exciting to be up here, having worked with the schools in Santa Clarita, having the history of the Mary Pickford Institute, and knowing the Mary Pickford history with Charlie Chaplin being one of the founders of United Artists. And that what I find, bridging the gap between the Charlie Chaplin and his modern times to our modern times, is that these people, when they started doing silent films, they didn't have any rules. They were making it up as they went. And I think right now where we are with the accessibility of digital technology and the handheld cameras and all that, all the students right now have the same opportunity to create art like they did in the silent film days, because it is accessible, because there aren't as many barriers for them to get out there and create their own art and make their own new films.
The highlight of ChaplinFest was a formal dedication ceremony to commemorate the spot where Modern Times filmed its last and most lasting image. Here, a special plaque was unveiled depicting the famous view that served as a bridge between the old Hollywood of silent films and a new era of talking pictures.
We wanted to, like I said, honor the 75th anniversary of the release of the film. We had these incredible people. Their names are Charles and Maria Sotelo from Hesperia. They own a monument company called High Desert Monuments. They heard about our project. They're big film fans. They're big Chaplin fans. They knew that this was volunteer organizations that were putting this on. They knew that we didn't have money up front to buy a monument to honor that site. And they said, you know what? We love this project. We're going to make the monument, and we know that the donations will come afterwards. So these wonderful people just came forward and made us a stunning granite monument that will eventually go out to the site out on Sarah Highway. It looks exactly the same as it did 75 years ago. It's not like, when you're there, you know that this scene has power. It's not like you have to look around a Walmart to see what this scene used to look like. It still looks exactly the same. It's still stark barren hills. When you look at the monument, the way it's going to be situated, you're actually going to be able to look over the top of the monument and see the scene's going to be is etched in the monument, and you're going to be able to see the scene because you're looking right down the center of the road, and it's just magical.